Hey guys, welcome to the Men of Iron podcast here. Last time I spoke on Joshua chapter 1, and we talked a little bit about strength and courage and being obedient and being successful and prosperous as men of faith. And I want to kind of build off of that on this podcast today. I really want to go to chapters 3 and a little bit of chapter 4. I want to start here by just reading Joshua chapter 3 verses 7, then I'm going to move on to chapter 4 verse 14. But before I do that, I think we as men, we often, desire, I think, to kind of be the hero, right? Like we want to be there for our families. We want to be the guy in our business. We want to be the guy at our workplace that's making things happen. And we want to be respected, right? We want to have that title of leadership, and we want to walk in that with authority. And, something that stuck out to me here as I was reading through chapters 3 and 4 is oftentimes when we want our name to be exalted, we kind of have to keep things in perspective and understand, like, what's our motivation behind that. And so let me just kind of go back here. Let me start with verse 7 in chapter 3. It says this, "And the Lord said to Joshua, 'Today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all Israel, so they may know that I am with you as I was with Moses.'" You see, God exalts man's name in order for God to be glorified. Let me say that one more time. God exalts man's name, not for man's sake, but for God's name to be glorified. So God is telling Joshua here, hey, listen, I'm going to exalt you in the eyes of man, in the eyes of Israel, but not for your sake. It's for the fact that I want my name to be glorified. You see, the people of Israel were not going to follow Joshua without knowing that God was with him. And I think that's something that we have to keep at the forefront of our lives as men, as mentors, as proteges, is if we truly desire to lead and to grow in these areas of our 5Fs, we need to understand that people are not going to follow us unless they know that God is with us. And people know that God is with us based on how well we approach and come out on the other side of life's challenges. And so if we approach life's challenges or responsibilities or the roles that we're given, if we approach these things with a bad attitude or with a negative attitude or with fear and discouragement or weariness and burdens, like, that person is hard to follow. But if we approach these things with the right attitude, where we're actually enjoying life and we're enduring the hardships, right? And we're getting through these things and we're truly leading with strength and courage, man, people hold on to that stuff. Sometimes our best witness as men is to show how we can navigate and kind of lead through the difficult things in life. And if you skip forward to chapter 4, verse 14, it says this, "That day the Lord exalted Joshua in the sight of all Israel, and they revered him all the days of his life, just as they revered Moses." You see, for Joshua to be exalted, he needed to go back and he needed to truly model what the Lord had commanded him to do, and that was to be strong and to be courageous. Joshua's exalted name, Joshua's status, if you will, was not possible without strength, without courage, and without a sensitive spirit to obey. So you might be thinking about that. I think many of us men, we know what it takes to be strong. Sometimes we know what it takes to have courage. But the thing I want us to take away, or the thing that I want us to reflect on today, is, do we have that other side, which is the sensitivity to the Holy Spirit? And that doesn't sound very masculine, right? But let me just kind of frame it up in a very masculine way. A sensitivity to the Holy Spirit is really obedience to the Lord's commands. It's obedience to God. That is really what sensitivity to the Holy Spirit is. It's having faith. It's being obedient and doing the things that God is asking each of us to do. And those things might look different for all of us because each of us are different. We have different jobs. We've got different families. We've got different roles, responsibilities. But you see, God calls all of us to be obedient. And so I want to encourage all of us, don't just be strong. Don't just have courage, but be obedient and pursue the things and do the things that God is calling each of us to do. We'll talk with you guys soon.